Do the cash walk, do the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt.
The Minor Details episode 10. I can't believe we're on episode 10. My co-host from The Walking Dead, 107 TVs and movies, Pete Pitts. Welcome, Pete.
Wow, Danny, it is unbelievable. We are on episode 10. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you to all our wonderful fans and listeners. We couldn't do this without y'all. This is it.
Hey, listen, Pete, I just want to start out by saying, I love the hat. I love the hat, Pete.
Thank you, brother. You know, I feel like we're kindred spirits, and we're now twinning. You and me are twinning together. We are winning as twins. I see we got fans in here already. Welcome, everyone. I just want to say really quick, Danny, and to everyone listening, I spend my time in life doing important things. Yes, I've been blessed and honored to be on 107 movies and TV shows. I wrote a book called Path to Success. I dropped an album with Jelly Roll. But all I do in my life are things that I count and it's important. And this is so important to me to be here on the Minor Details every week because we are really focusing on solving cases, finding these missing people, and changing lives. So thank you again for having me.
Pete, no problem, brother. You are definitely an inspiration. I'm glad I met you. We talked. It was like God put us together, brother. God put us together. And like I said, now we got matching hats. Basically, this is going to go, Pete. This is going to go.
Absolutely, Danny. Like I was mentioning earlier in our pre-show chat, the only thing that I'm missing now is a Minor Details coffee mug and some Minor Details merch. I have my shirt, but I'm getting ready to get some more Minor Details merch. And you've got the mug right now.
Yes. And if people go to the Minor Details Facebook page, our Facebook group page, join that. We have our link there for our merchandise. Also, Pete, you want to talk about, we're possibly got a sponsor that sells cars, Pete, expensive cars. So we might have a sponsor next week.
Absolutely, Danny. We've actually been talking to a few different potential sponsors, from realty to brands to companies. We need your help getting the word out. And this will also help you as a brand or a company, because if you decide to sponsor the Minor Details show and podcast, not only are we going to promote your brand or your company, we're also going to put your logo on our promotional material. You're going to be seen by our combined fan base of millions of people. And I say millions because our fan base extends beyond just our platforms. Our fan base extends to the Stranger Things fans, the Walking Dead fans, the Jelly Roll fans, the Sylvester Stallone fans, and everyone else connected with us.
Exactly, Pete. I mean, you're talking, talking social media platforms, way over 600,000 followers. So we are building. So we are out there. We can get your business out there. But today we have a case that's international, Pete. And before we get into it, but I just want to mention it.
Yes.
This case is out of Ireland, and it's a case, to me, it's Ireland's John Benet Ramsey case.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Absolutely, Danny. This is one of the strangest and honestly most shocking cases that we've ever delved into. On episode 10, we are going to be talking about a very unique case. It's our first completely international case. Every other case we've discussed has had American or United States ties, but this one took place in Belfast, Ireland. Noah Donohue, and we're going to be talking about Noah in just a few moments after we go over a few weekly highlights and some missing person spotlights. But before we jump into Noah, Danny, I wanted to talk about what happens with you this week. For one thing, I wanted to mention, I finally saw Fire in the Sky, the movie.
Yes! Fire in the Sky, I love it!
So, Danny, will you just rehash that story really quick about Snowflake, Arizona? This movie is based on a true story, and Danny was just there last week in Snowflake, Arizona on an epic trip. So tell everyone really quickly about Fire in the Sky and what it's about.
Guys, listen, I went to Snowflake, Arizona. It's, God, I can't think of his name right now. Waldron. What's his first name?
Travis.
Travis, yeah, Travis Walton.
Yes.
He was abducted. He was a logger in Arizona back in the 70s. They would log trees all day and then come home late at night when it was dark. Him and his 4 other buddies, they're in a truck. They're leaving work. It's dusk. They see lights in the trees. They go investigate. When they get there, there's a UFO hovering. He jumps out of the car because he's interested. He gets zapped and knocked down by some kind of beam. They get nervous and they leave him. But then they thought, we got to go get back for him. When they go back, he's gone. They tell authorities what happened. Of course, authorities don't believe them and want to charge them with murder. They give them lie detector tests. All of them passed the lie detector test. 5 days later, Travis shows back up at a phone booth 9 miles from where he was abducted. 9 miles. And Pete, I went to that fucking phone booth. I was there.
Danny, after watching that movie, I'll be honest, I really feel like there's a...
Pete, I can't hear you.
Okay, are we back? Can we hear?
Good?
Are we good? Yes. Yes. Danny, I feel like there is a chance that something actually happens, that Travis might have actually encountered something paranormal. So if you guys have not seen it yet, check out Fire in the Sky. It's an amazing movie, and feel free to research that case. In the near future, Danny and I will be talking about some paranormal investigations.
I'm back, Pete.
Welcome back. Danny. I know you have to take a break sometimes. You're so busy, superstar.
But yeah, I mean, so Pete, what did you think of the movie while I was out? What did you think?
I'll tell you what, Danny, it was a very captivating movie, and it made me stop and think, is there life out there? Is there paranormal life out there? Does something else exist? As we approach the fall season, we're going to do a lot of paranormal episodes, and we're going to talk about that more and more. But I think this movie really summarizes it very well, of the distinct possibility that there might be something or someone out there.
Listen, Pete, I'll tell you what, just being there, the people of that town embrace it. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I went to his house, but I did not film his house. I'm not a stalker, but I did go to see where he lived in Snowflake. Snowflake is a small town, maybe 4,000 people, maybe 3,000 people. Like, it's very, very small town. And if you went out there, Pete, you would say to yourself, oh yeah, a UFO could definitely abduct somebody out here, because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of nowhere in Arizona.
Yeah, well, Danny, I'm so glad you got to go. So everyone stay tuned for our future alien and paranormal talks, our ghost talks. We're going to have a lot more talks, but we're mostly focused on true crime. I do want to give a quick shout out to all of our platforms. I see the switchboards lighting up from Instagram, YouTube to Facebook. And I want to mention really quick, we have a brand new group on Facebook. It's the Minor Details Facebook group. So please go join the group right now. Post your questions, your comments, and cases that you want to hear, and help us get the word out. We need your help. We need your help to solve these cases and find these missing people.
Exactly, Pete. Exactly. So, Pete, do we have an entertainment spotlight? Other than that, do you have anything else to talk about?
Yes, absolutely. Before I jump into an entertainment spotlight, I just wanted to mention one more thing on the weekly highlight. Isn't there a new documentary coming out on Netflix about some influencers?
Yes, and Pete, I don't know the name right off the top of my head, but it started last night. It's about influencers on TikTok, Instagram that are exposing their children. They talk about this 8-year-old girl that was on YouTube when she was 8, and it's just hurting these kids. And Pete, this is what you got to look at. When parents are putting their kids online, and they have millions of followers, and these people are saving the videos, you got to realize there's disgusting, perverted men out there, and it's disgusting. And you got to watch putting your children online, and that's what this documentary is going to be about. You know, people that are putting their kids online to make money, and I think it's wrong, Pete. Them kids don't know they're going to be exposed like that. The parents didn't ask them for permission. I just think it's wrong.
You're absolutely right, Danny. I am looking forward to watching that documentary. And for all the parents and families out there, we have to be aware of protecting our family, protecting our young ones. Children are basically sponges. So they're literally absorbing everything that you hear. And as Angela says, they can get your location easily. Absolutely, Angela, you're absolutely right. So everyone out there, please protect your kids, please protect your families, and be aware of what they're seeing online. Stay tuned for that documentary. Now, I want to jump into an entertainment spotlight really quick. My friend Jelly Roll, Jason DeFord, famous artist Jelly Roll, Grammy nominee, has recently lost almost 200 pounds on his health journey. So go Jelly Roll. He was 540 pounds approximately. He's down to like 357. and he started in 2022 on his weight loss and health mission. He's now getting into the best shape of his life. So shout out to Jelly Roll, who's now an American Idol host. And I also have an album with Jelly Roll called Motivation Is My Hustle, as well as a music video. So everyone check that out. Now, Danny, you have a entertainment spotlight as well from someone you just got followed by recently, right?
Well, listen, Pete. Now, every week we seem somebody's following me, right? Well, the last couple of weeks, Jennifer Coolidge, we all know her from White Lotus, Stifler's mother, okay? American Pie, Stifler's mom. We all know her from American Pie. Listen, we all had a little crush on Stifler's mother. We all did. Am I right, Pete? We watched that movie and we're like, we have a crush on her. Well, Pete, she's been liking my videos. Finally, she saw the light and she's following me.
I love it, Dan. I love it. She got tired of finding you to like your videos, so she's actually following you. That adds to the likes of Sylvester Stallone, Country Wayne, Struggle Jennings, and many other greats that are following you.
Gavin DeGraw?
Gavin DeGraw, yes, absolutely. So
Tom Green?
Absolutely. Tom Green also. I love it. So
the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls? We could just go on and on.
Wow. We're taking off. All of you viewers and all of you fans are helping this take off. I see Ashley in the comments says she's very proud of Jelly Roll. So shout out to you, Ashley. Shout out to all of our viewers, fans, and all of our celebrity followers as well. Now, Danny, let's go ahead and jump into our missing persons spotlight if you're ready. Do you want to go ahead and cover that before our main case?
Yeah, let's do that, Pete. Hang on one second. Let me bring it up. Okay, The first one we have, Pete, and I did a video on it this week. Incy Aubrey Wu. She's missing from Pennsylvania, that Allentown, Whitehall area. I don't know if people are familiar with that area. I am. I used to go to Allentown all the time. It's about an hour and a half from my hometown. It's closer. It's probably an hour from Philadelphia if people are interested. But she crawled out her bedroom window, okay, back in January. I think it was January 10th. And she has not been seen since. Now, folks, I did a video on this, and we're going to put her picture up on the Minor Details Facebook group page. That's why we want people to follow that. We're going to put all the missing people or children that we do the podcast on, pictures up on that. So you can always go there to look up missing people. We want to use that page for that. But the police are saying they're being cautious to say this isn't a criminal investigation. That they believe she is a runaway, even though she's been missing for 4 months. They believe it's a runaway, and they're cautiously saying that it's not a criminal investigation. But runaway or not, a kid is in danger if they're out there on their own. So we got to get the word out there, Pete. And we got another one, right?
You're absolutely right. Yes. So every week, for those of you who are new listeners, we are going to start having 3 different missing persons that we're going to spotlight every week, because Danny and I are determined to help find missing people, find answers for these families, and bring justice to those who deserve it. And so please, if you see anything, say something to authorities. So NC Aubrey, who you just mentioned, she was only 14. So we need to know what's happened. Even if she ran away, we need to know. The second missing person spotlight that I'm going to mention is actually from a pretty old case, Danny. This is Lucy Rebecca Meadows. She went missing July 25th, 1996. So this is many years ago. She was only 3 years old. She went missing from Goodlettsville, Tennessee area, which is about 20 miles north from Nashville. She was actually at the Rivergate Mall, in the mall parking lot, and her mom basically turned around in the parking lot from loading the vehicle, and she was gone. Witnesses say there was a suspicious brown van, but no one knows if the brown van was connected, and no one has found any leads for this young 3-year-old girl of Korean descent. So please, even though it's been so many years since 1996, the family would love to know if Lucy Rebecca Meadows is still out there. Please, if you're in the Tennessee area or anywhere and you see this girl, please look her up, check our Facebook page, and get the word out. And Danny, you have a third missing person to highlight as well.
Yeah, and Pete, every time I hear these cases, honestly, it gives me the chills. It's so scary as a parent. And now, now I'm a grandfather. My grandson is 10 years old. It scares the shit out of me, Pete. I'm going to be honest with you. And, we talked about Emily Pike last week, and today we have another American Indian girl that's missing, folks, that we're doing the spotlight on, and it's going to be Tamara Keepness. And she's been missing, folks, since 2004. And they said she was a bubbly girl. She liked playing Nintendo games. She liked climbing trees. And since July 5th, 2004, she's been missing. Basically, her parents were arguing. Two men, the father went with two men to a local store, started drinking. And then they said at night, one of the siblings said they felt Tamara get out of bed, and she hasn't been seen since. 2,000 tips, and we still don't know where this girl is. 2,000. Now, one of the guys that was with her father ended up getting arrested a couple days later for assault and stuff. So I guess they're thinking, you know what I mean?
Yes, Danny, this is definitely sad. Even though it's been 21 years since Tamara has gone missing in Canada, we still want answers. The family still deserves answers. And I hope that everyone out there in any of these areas will continue helping us find, or helping the families find, all of these missing people. There's so many. It's just gut-wrenching.
It is absolutely horrible, Pete. So, Pete, do we have anything else before we get into our major case?
Danny, I think that's our main prelude to the show today. I'd like to go ahead and get started with Noah today, because this is our first completely international case. So I want to say a special thank you right now to all of our listeners in Ireland, in the UK. We are now downloaded and listened to in about 105 cities or so. And that's just with our podcast platforms. That's not counting all of the social media follows, views, and listens that we get. So we really want to tap into the communities that are outside of America, where you and I live. So Noah Donohue, do you want to start off the case talking about him?
No, go ahead. You started, Pete. Go ahead. You were telling me you're into this case at night, right? Talking about it.
Yeah, Danny. Honestly, I'll be honest. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this episode, I do things that I feel like are very important in life, and the minor details is important because we're really honestly trying to find answers here. We're not just talking about these cases and these missing people. We're also looking for you, all of you all who are listening and watching, and all of you who are playing this back later in your cars, to reach out to us, comment, and reach out to authorities if you know anything. But let's just jump into it. Noah Peter Donohue was 14 years old, and he was a mixed race Catholic boy from Belfast, Ireland. His father left when he was a young boy. His mother had previously lived in America, in the United States. Then she moved back to Ireland because she was not legal in America. So she wanted her son to have a better life without the restrictions of not being legal herself. And as far as Noah himself, he was a great student in school. He was doing very well. He was really good in science, in math, and he actually had ambitions to either be a medical doctor or something in the medical field. Not only that, he also played basketball. So he, all around, looking at Noah Donohue, it seemed like he was a very average 14-year-old Irish student. And as we talk about the facts of the case, it's one of the strangest cases I've ever investigated, Danny.
Pete, it's insane. I read this case over and over. And listen, people are saying I'm having a problem with my mic. Could you hear me okay now?
Yes, I am hearing you. There was just a bit of a crackle, snap, crackle, pop, but I think we're good now.
Okay, perfect. Listen, there's always some kind of audio. Listen, Pete, when I read this case, and when we get into the details of it, people are going to be shocked at what happened here. Because honestly, I don't know what the explanation is. Do you, Pete?
No, Danny. And at the end of this episode today, we're going to kind of both go over that, what we think our best guess is. And I also would like to appeal to everyone tuning in for you to chime in the comment section on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube right now as you're watching live. Let us know what you think about this case. And really quick, I want to mention about the sound and the audio and the visual. This is one reason that we are seeking more sponsorship for the podcast so we can elevate to the next level. I mentioned earlier, or last week in the previous episode, Danny, I'm currently working with Dave Ramsey, who's the #1 financial peace planner in the world. He's a great finance guy, and he has an amazing studio here in the Nashville area. So I aspire for our podcast to take it to that level one day, Danny.
We got it, brother. We got it.
Absolutely. So please, if you're interested in sponsorship, let us know so we can elevate the quality of this podcast, elevate the content, and get it to more people. But let's just dive right in to this very strange and unusual case from Belfast, Ireland. Now, it's interesting to note that before Noah disappeared from his home, about 14 hours before he disappeared from his home, Noah left his apartment in Belfast. So this was June 21st, 2020. This was during the height of the pandemic. This is after lockdowns were riveting the world and everyone was being told, do not go anywhere, stay inside, confine, stay 6 feet away, socially isolate. So one thing that we've learned now, science has shown us that isolation is not healthy. So this was a very uncertain, scary, and unhealthy time when Noah left his apartment. So on June 21st, 2020, the first incident that happened at 3:30 a.m., Noah left his apartment wearing headphones, a t-shirt, and flip-flops. And surveillance cameras show that he returned to his apartment at 4:05 a.m. that same day, but he was soaking wet because it was pouring rain, but he was not wearing his headphones or his flip-flops. Now,
And that's weird.
It's so weird. His mom did not know that he left. That was at the middle of the night. For 35 minutes, he went out, and no one knows where or why. And this is the same day that he disappeared. And Danny, just that little tidbit, as you hear the rest of the story, as our viewers and our fans listen and understand, that may give some evidence to the rest of the case, but I really don't know for sure. That's just interesting to note. Why did he disappear in the middle of the night and come back at 4:05 with no headphones and no flip-flops?
I agree. And you know what? And especially the night before he goes missing. I mean, to me, that is just strange. It's so strange.
We'll get into theories in a minute, Danny, because my brain is already just turning. This case.
Wait till you guys hear this case. It's insane. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Pete. Go ahead.
Danny, this case is absolutely riveting, and it just gets stranger and stranger as it goes on. So that's the first little tidbit of this case. But other than that, everything's fine. Noah returned home that day, and then later on June 21st, 2020, at around 5:30 p.m., Noah told his mom that he was going to the local park to work on a school project with a couple of his friends. Completely normal, just a normal day, a normal Sunday, nothing at all out of the ordinary. So his destination was supposed to be Cave Hill County Park. He left on his bike. He was carrying his black backpack. He had some books and his laptop in it, and he was basically wearing his hoodie, t-shirt, shorts, and his helmet, and that was about it. So everything's normal, right? Normal day.
Right.
But at 5:50 p.m., video surveillance shows that suddenly Noah detoured from his destination to the county park. Instead of going towards the county park, he was shown on video riding his bike down Royal Avenue, which was not en route to the park. And it's a very busy shopping district street. So suddenly, he's all of a sudden, and again, we don't know why, video camera shows that he's suddenly going away from his destination, still riding on his bike with his backpack, his helmet, and everything is normal other than his destination. Is that what you gather so far, Danny?
Yes. So you got to realize, folks, he leaves the house with the backpack.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, he leaves with the backpack, wearing his helmet. Everything's normal. Seems like a normal day so far. So what we have is we're piecing together evidence from video footage. And as we go over this whole case, we're going to tell you everything that unfolded. Then we're going to talk about what we think and what you all in the comments think. So at the end of Royal Avenue, which is basically, it's a long shopping district street. At the end of the street, video footage shows Noah without his backpack. Suddenly, there's no video footage that shows what happened to his backpack, but suddenly at the end of Royal Avenue, his backpack is gone.
And folks, you got to realize, I think, Pete, it's only like 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
That he loses that backpack. So
Yes.
the one camera sees him with
Yes.
the backpack. 5 minutes later, no backpack.
Yes, it's very weird already. So
Okay.
this case is starting to get incredibly weird and suspicious. That's the first question. Why is he suddenly going down Royal Avenue instead of meeting his friends? And also, where did his backpack go? So it doesn't even begin to cover the craziness that transpires in the rest of this case. But that's where it already starts to get weird and suspicious. Do you want me to go on, or do you want to continue?
No,
next?
go ahead. You're doing good.
So I'll tell everyone what happened next. Basically, this is just where it gets really crazy. At 6 p.m., so this is 10 minutes later after they had just seen him on Royal Avenue. At 6 p.m., a driver claims that they saw Noah falling down on his bicycle at a busy intersection. The driver pulled their vehicle over to offer to render help to Noah, but when they started getting out of their car, Noah already had jumped back on his bike and started riding away. So this was later recorded, later reported. The driver just later thought, at the time, just thought nothing of it. Said, okay, this kid fell on his bike. Let me help him up. And I already see in the comments, someone's asking, do we think someone maybe took his backpack? It's possible, but we're going to get into what happened later, and we're going to get into what we know about his backpack in just a moment. So no one knows, again, where he lost his backpack. And it's about to get really crazy. Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah, this is crazy, guys. Get ready.
So after Noah was allegedly seen falling off his bike and the bystander tried to help him out, he gets back on his bike and rides away. Again, video footage captures him around 1,200 feet away, this time on a different road called York Road. All right. So it captures him just riding, again, without his backpack, but just riding normally without his backpack. But 2 minutes later, the craziest revelation in this case happens. And this is where my mind is just blown, Danny. I am literally just trying to understand what in the world happened and why this happened. So 2 minutes later, after his last video footage was seen, Noah was now seen one more time on Northwood Road, but this time he's no longer wearing any clothing. He's no longer wearing his helmet. He is completely naked, and
It's insane.
no one knows how this happened or why this happened. So let's just stop and think for a second there. 2 minutes later, after his last video footage, he's suddenly riding his bike with no clothes whatsoever and no helmets whatsoever.
So, folks, you got to let me just go over this real quick, Pete. So he leaves the house with the backpack. 5 minutes later, he's seen on camera without the backpack. So what happened? Then 3 minutes later or 4 minutes later, a truck driver sees him fall. And then 3 minutes later, he's seen with no clothes on, riding a bike and no helmet. So now, no backpack, no helmet. What happened to his clothes? Folks, get ready because it even gets crazier. Go ahead, Pete.
Danny, it continues to get crazy. And before I continue on to this case, as we still have a little time in our podcast, I just want to address a quick comment from Instagram. Someone's asking if we could share pics of the missing people from the missing persons spotlights. And I want to let everyone know that if you will tune in and tap into the Minor Details Facebook group, that's where we're going to be sharing all the updates of these missing people, as well as all of our episodes and all our cases. So stay connected with us there for all that information.
Yeah, and we'll be putting missing people up, missing persons all the time up there. That's going to be the place where you can go looking for missing people.
Yes, absolutely. So continuing on with this insane case and this mystery surrounding Belfast, Ireland, young man, 14-year-old Noah Donohue, what happened to him? We know that suddenly he's seen on camera when he left his house with his backpack fully clothed. He's suddenly seen naked, stark naked, riding around in the neighborhood of Northwood Road area. So there are actually two residents, Danny, that mentioned they claimed to have seen him riding his bike naked. It was obviously very peculiar to them. They, of course, noted the details to authorities. I don't know if they called it in right away, but of course, when Noah was declared missing, which he soon was later, the local residents who saw him riding his bike naked were just like, what's going on? You know, outside of a nudist colony, it's extremely rare for someone to be out in public naked. And I've never been to Ireland, but it's not customary there either, just like it's not here in the States.
Exactly.
Very weird, very strange. So let's talk about the next and actually the final video footage that we have of Noah. And then we're going to get into some theories, some speculation, and some further details. The final video footage that we have of Noah being alive was at approximately 6:03 p.m. that day. Noah was captured on video footage, still naked, but this time he did not have his bike, and he was walking alongside of a house toward a gate that led to a park. Completely stark naked still, and just walking, kind of just walking or strolling almost normally. So it didn't seem, from what I understand, it didn't seem as though he was hurt or injured from his recent fall on the bike, but yet he's still completely without his clothes, without his backpack, without his helmet, without his phone, and without all his possessions. This is the very last video footage that we have of Noah Donohue alive. Crazy.
Pete, this is just a crazy case. It's always bothered me from day one. And I want to tell you this, Pete. The people from Ireland are happy we are doing this case because to them, this is the John Benet Ramsey case of Ireland. People were just protesting about this case days ago, folks. days ago, and this case is 5 years old, and the people want answers. They want to know what happened to Noah, and that's why we're doing this.
Yes, Danny. And as one of our commenters here on YouTube, Ashley says, the case is mind blowing. You're absolutely right. It is just so shocking when you hear the details that led up to his disappearance, because what happened next is uncertain. This is left up to speculation. We don't know what happened when he walked to that gate, to that park for sure. What we do know is that around 7 p.m. or so, Noah was supposed to call his mom. His mom did not receive that call. So she started getting worried. She started getting concerned. She waited a little while, but around 9:30 p.m. that night, she called authorities and she reported him missing. She knew this was not typical. This is not customary. She knew something was up immediately. So at 6 p.m. the very next day after he was reported missing, a neighborhood resident from that same cul-de-sac area where he was last seen called authorities and reported that they had found Noah's mountain bike at the end of their driveway. And this is, again, was the same exact neighborhood where he was. So the pieces are kind of coming together, but they're very fuzzy and we still don't know. Suddenly, a massive manhunt is launched. A massive search begins by police, authorities, residents, everyone really in Belfast. Really, all of Ireland was shocked by this immediately. So they started looking for him, Danny. And what do you think was going on in his mother's head during that time?
Oh my God, I can't even imagine a missing child. Pete, think of this. If your child's missing, all the blood just got to rush out of you. You got to be pure white. You got to be pale. I don't think I could move. I would probably be frozen. I can't even imagine what his mother went through.
And Danny, this is even just one day after he was reported missing. So this is before all the video footage has come to surface. This is before the details started getting pieced together that we now have, which still don't make any sense. The details that he suddenly went down Royal Avenue mysteriously. His backpack suddenly comes up missing mysteriously. He suddenly is seen riding naked mysteriously. These details were not even surfaced at that time, but still his mother knew, his friends knew something was wrong. Noah was nowhere to be found. And what we find next might be even more disturbing, Danny, when we continue to look into the evidence and the facts of this case.
I'll tell you what, Pete, I don't know. They're doing a coroner's inquest now. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that's coming up in the summer. They're going to do a coroner's inquest on the death of him.
Yes.
Because, listen, I don't think this kid unalived himself, is what I'm saying. I don't feel that in any way at all. Do you, Pete?
No, Danny. And as we talk about all of the speculation and the rest of the facts that were discovered leading to him finally being found and in the condition that he was found, I'll talk about why I don't strongly think that. And we'll talk about why some people are speculating that he did take his own life. But I'm already seeing the comment section and the switchboard just light up right now. For example, I see Ashley in the comments saying that maybe he got drugged, maybe he got jumped. None of the details make sense. So as we know right now, leading up to his disappearance, it's very, very mysterious, very fishy. Something's going on in the neighborhood and it's not good. So let me continue on, Danny. Basically, the next day, as they had reported him missing, they found his bike. A massive search was launched. And then not long after that, the local police found Noah's cell phone at a park that was en route to the cul-de-sac where he was last seen on Northwoods Road. So they found his cell phone. Now, would he have just discarded that, just thrown his cell phone? Did someone take the cell phone and throw it? We don't know, but we know that authorities found his cell phone. And what the locals in that area also found were Noah's bicycle helmet, his shoes, and his hoodie. But here's where it gets stranger, Danny, and all of our listeners. Here's where it gets really strange. His t-shirt, his shorts, and his underwear have never been found to this day. Never been found.
I'm telling you, I guarantee you somebody has something to do with this kid's death, and it's not him. I'm telling you, my hair's standing up on my arms. There's no way this kid did this to himself. No way. I don't believe it, and I'll never believe it.
So at this point, when we know that his t-shirt, his underwear was never found, his shorts were never found, but his hoodie was found, the cell phone was found, the bike helmet was found, the bike was found, it just gets so suspicious and fishy. Why were some of his articles found and others were never discovered? So let me continue forward. 3 days
Go
later,
ahead.
police announced a big press conference, and they made a theory. They said that they thought Noah fell off his bike, he injured his head, and then he became disoriented. So he didn't know what he was doing. And because he didn't know what he was doing, he removed his clothes in confusion, perhaps. That's what they speculated. But the same day of this press conference, Danny, a local pawn shop manager contacted police and said that a man had just tried to sell him the very laptop that belonged to Noah.
Oh my, yes, I remember that, Pete. I'm glad you brought that up. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That is crazy, Pete. Pete, how could the police in Ireland think this kid killed himself? There's no chance of that. I'm telling you right now, there's no chance of it.
In the last few minutes of this episode, I'll go over a couple of the theories that I've read because we try to do a deep dive on every case, but it's just really impossible to get all the facts and all the different schools of thoughts about all these cases. That's why the Minor Details is reaching out to all of you, our fans, our viewers, our followers, to help the show grow and to help reach out to us and give us your thoughts. We do want to find these missing people. We do want to bring justice to them, and we do want to find answers. So in our comments, people are asking who we're talking about. We're talking about Noah Donohue, Belfast, Ireland, who went missing in 2020. So as we're continuing on with the case, the pawn shop manager called police. They said that someone tried to sell him the laptop. It belonged to Noah. The police confirmed, yes, this is Noah's laptop. So police investigated, and the person who tried to sell the laptop to the pawn shop, his name was Daryl Paul. He had a very long rap sheet, around 200 convictions on his record, and some of them were multiple crimes, but some of them were for theft and armed robbery. So Daryl was instantly arrested at his home, and guess what police found at Daryl's home? Noah's backpack and Noah's books.
Oh my God.
So we know where they ended up. Now, how did they get into Daryl's possession? So this is what Daryl claimed. Now, Daryl was sent and sentenced to prison for 3 months for theft of Noah's property. But police said that Daryl had an alibi during the time of Noah's disappearance, and the Belfast police said that he was absolutely not responsible. They asked Daryl, how did you acquire his laptop? How did you get his backpack? How did you get his books? Daryl said, I found them on Royal Drive, the same drive where he was last seen with the backpack. So far, this is starting to kind of line up where maybe that was an honest mistake. This career criminal just happens to find this backpack. That's possible, okay? But I don't know if it's completely true. I just know that could happen. But police ruled him out and said he's not a suspect. Let's stop right there for a second, Danny. As a former law enforcement officer of 27 years, what do you think about this individual, and what do you think about the facts so far?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm glad to see Ireland is just like the United States, where a guy could get arrested 200 times and still be on the street. Okay? And you have armed robbery and all this other crap, just like the United States, where you could be arrested 200 times and still be on the street to hurt somebody. Now, could he have found this backpack? Yes. Could he have found the laptop? Yes. But Pete, to me, and the coincidence is he found this backpack and the kid is found dead. I don't know. It's suspicious to me. I would definitely keep looking into this guy.
Without a doubt, Danny. And like you said, I always thought the United States of America was #1 in crime, but I guess we have some competitors out there who are trying to catch up to our record, which is a shame. I want to change that stat. I want to make America #1 for health and #1 for healing and #1 for bringing justice to the victims and stopping these heinous crimes. But that's a whole different podcast topic. Today, we're talking about Noah Donohue, and we're going to say his name, 14-year-old Noah Donohue. As you just mentioned, though, Danny, he was discovered unalive. On June 27th, just 6 days after his disappearance, Noah's body was discovered in a storm drain tunnel near Shore Road. The coroners declared the cause of death was drowning. Apparently, Noah had entered that storm drain system through an unsecured storm drain that a local maintenance worker had forgotten to lock a week ago during an inspection. And basically, his body was found 3,000 feet away from the storm drain in a tunnel. Let's let that sink in for a minute to our listeners.
3,000.
That's a long distance for those of you who know about it.
Yes. Oh my God, Pete.
Weird.
Pete, the biggest thing, and I just want people to know, a lot of people are saying that he took his clothes off. Like, I've read into this. I was on Reddit. I've been on all the sub sites about this case. And a lot of people think, and I've had nurses and doctors say this, that when he hit his head, it might have, did something to him, make him take his clothes off. That happens sometimes. I don't know if we have any medical people listening to this podcast that want to chime in here in the comments. But Pete, I just don't know. That to me, that's so strange. And they didn't say the bike accident was horrible. He immediately got up, got back on his bike after he fell off it. It wasn't like he was seriously injured and stayed on the ground.
Exactly, Danny. So from the witness reports who saw him fall off his bike, and from the video footage that we have of him still being alive before his body was found, we do not have any definite evidence that he had a gushing wound from his head, or that he was limping, or that he was riding his bike in a disoriented manner. We just know that suddenly his clothes vanish, and then suddenly he's walking towards the storm drain. And then 6 days later, they find him in the tunnel 3,000 feet away, and they call it a drowning. But it continues to get suspicious as we look into the details. In August of 2020, so a couple months later, this was a huge public outcry in Ireland at the time. But in August, authorities publicly announced that Noah's death did not involve foul play. That's what they said. So that's their official decision. They're basically saying, after 2 months of investigating, case closed. Why are we still talking about this in 2025, Danny? Because I don't think the case should be closed. Noah's mother does not think the case should be closed. And I don't think our thousands and millions of listeners, fans, and followers out there think that this case should be closed either. Do you?
Absolutely not, Pete. I think I told you about this. Last year, I did like 3 videos on this. Now, listen, guys, I don't live in Ireland. I'm a United States influencer. And my videos went to 1 million on this. That's how much people are interested in this case. Pete, I'm going to be honest with you. When I did an international case, I didn't expect to get many views at all because I do United States cases. But this case hits the heart of Ireland. I'm telling you, it hits the heart of Ireland. I know when this podcast is over, the people of Ireland will reach out to me and thank us for doing this podcast, because they do all the time, because this is their John Benet Ramsey case of Ireland. People took Noah underneath their wing as their own child, and they want justice.
Definitely, and rightfully so. This hits home to my heart and the hearts of all our listeners out there. I can see these switchboards are lighting up right now with comments. People feel the same way. This is so suspicious, and it gets even stranger. If it could get even stranger, Danny, there continue to be more strange twists and turns. We only have about 18 minutes left, so we'll try to go over some theories in just a moment, but I want to conclude what we know. I want to conclude all the cold, hard facts, and then we'll talk about some theories. Here's one more cold, hard fact. There was very little water damage to Noah's body. Now, why is there little water damage to his body if he was in the storm drain tunnel for 6 days? As a former law enforcement officer, detective for many years, police chief, Danny, can you explain that? If a body is in water for 6 days, is there going to be a small amount of water damage, which Noah's body showed?
Okay, Pete, I'm going to tell you, I have experience in this, okay? And for those of you that don't want to hear some disgusting things, you might want to turn it off a little bit, but I'll try to keep it clean here. We had a guy missing for 5 days, okay? He was drowned in water. He floated back up after 5 days he was found. Pete, I knew what the guy looked like. I knew who he was. When I came on scene, I had no idea it was him. Because water does things to you. It blows you up. You actually get air in you. You blow up. I'll be honest with you. You don't look like yourself. You don't even look like a human being half the time. So water does major damage to the body. To me, it was one of the worst things I've seen done to a body. And I'm just going to be honest with you. Other than fire, water is bad. And I hate to get graphic, but I want you guys to understand this. For them saying his body wasn't that water damaged, that's weird to me. That's weird.
It's completely strange. It's completely uncharacteristic. It does not fit in with the coroner's cause of death, in my opinion. And as Angela says in one of the comments, trigger warning to everyone out there, because we're talking about some very graphic and some real details of these cases, because we want to try to find the truth. We want to get to the bottom of it. So I'm trying to think of a scenario where maybe his body was not completely submerged, and that therefore not so much damage. But this is a storm drain. He traveled 3,000 feet, and we know it was heavily raining that day. So I don't really see that that's possible. To me, there's something fishy going on. I don't know if he was kidnapped there. I don't know if he was kidnapped at all. But to me, there is something suspicious going on. And I want to bring up one more fact before we talk about these in the last 15 minutes.
Okay.
There's one more fact that's very concerning to me. All right. The police, the local police, basically applied for and they received a public interest immunity certificate. Now, this is something they do in Ireland, which is similar to things they do here in the States from what I've discovered recently. Basically, a public interest immunity certificate means that they were allowed to conceal certain information from the public regarding this case that they thought could be damaging to the public. One example of a reason that a police department might apply for this certificate is if there's an informant involved, a CI or a confidential informant. So therefore, the law enforcement agency might apply for a certificate and say, kind of like, we're gonna seal the books, we're gonna seal this evidence, and we're not gonna release it to the public. But there's no evidence so far in this case that anyone knows or that I've been able to find that shows that there's any kind of confidential informant linked to Noah's case. So why in the world did the Belfast police apply for this certificate and get approved to basically have a legal right to conceal information from the public, from us? And what information are they concealing, Danny? Can you answer that as a law enforcement officer?
I'm going to tell you that I don't know Ireland's law, so I'm assuming it's way different than ours. But I'm going to tell you what we do here. Like, Pete, say we have a confidential informant that tells us something. We have to do an arrest report, and then we have to do an arrest affidavit. What we call them, we don't call them, like, say you were her informant, Pete, right? Pete Pitts is our informant. Of course, we wouldn't put in the arrest report, Pete Pitts told us this. We would put confidential informant number 1 told us this. And then we would have like another sheet saying who confidential informant 1 was. But the public wouldn't be able to see that. They would just see confidential informant 1. Confidential informant number 2 might be Joe Smith that told us something. So you're trying to conceal their names because if they get their names, it could hurt the case. That's basically what you're doing. They usually do that in the United States with like drug dealers. Okay, I worked drugs for 10 years. I worked undercover drugs, and that's what we used to do.
Okay, well, that would make sense if this case involved a major
drugs,
something like that. But why in the world would the police say, for one thing, the case is closed? Secondly, they say there's no foul play. And then third, they apply for and they get granted this certificate saying we have some information that we're not going to tell you. I would love for anyone from that local police department in Ireland to reach out to us on the minor details so we can find out. I know they may not be able to. I don't know the laws, but I just would love to know, even if they anonymously call in, I want to know what information are they withholding? Because here's what the public thinks in Ireland, and here's what I think. The public began to think that this move shows deception, secretive behavior, and the police just want to avoid public outcry. Perhaps they messed up something, they omitted some evidence, or perhaps they just don't want us to know that they really do think that it was foul play and that they don't have the killer in custody yet.
Pete, I agree with you 100%. That this does not seem right to me in a case like this. And every time the police do something like this, even in the United States, and I want you to know, Pete, when I was a cop, I was our public information officer. I did our reports to the news. I was the guy that went live at 11 o'clock telling the news what went on. I was our PIO, public information officer. And I always told my chief, the more you tell the public, the more they're going to trust you. When you don't tell the public the truth, the public don't trust you. And that's what happened with this. Now, they might have sealed this for a good reason, but the public doesn't see it that way. That's why I don't like police being secretive, because it only makes them look bad. It really does. Tell us what you fucking have. I don't know why they hide stuff like that.
Danny, I can understand national security and I can understand protecting the case before the case is closed. But when you are declaring the case is closed, but then you're also saying, by the way, we're hiding some secretive information, that is super shady. And I see the comments lighting up right now. As Angela says, the fact that his clothes were never found is super suspicious. Where did his t-shirt, where did his shorts and his underwear go? Did he stop and bury them? Did he burn them? No. I mean, they're never found. We don't know, but probably not. He was seen in such quick periods of time between being fully clothed and then backpack missing and then suddenly naked that this is just literally one of the most mind-blowing sequences of events that I've ever heard of in a case.
Yes, and people, you got to realize that, and we have a ton of people watching right now. Nobody's leaving, which is great. We have as many people we started with, they're still here, and actually more. But what I want to tell you is it's very strange that this happened in 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? This happened 15, 20 minutes, guys. All of this shit we're telling you. By the time he left this house within 10 minutes, he's nude. Like, what the fuck? Right? What happened, guys? We're talking about a 15 to 20 minute period that this all happened. Like, but Pete, I think if I'm an investigator, I'm going back to why he left the house at 3 o'clock in the morning the night before. There's got to be something to him leaving the house at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Danny, I'm the type of person that really leans into intuition and feelings. And like I told you, from the moment I met you, for example, I had a great intuition and feeling about you. I felt like we were kindred spirits. And I tune into my senses a lot. And when I hear this case about Noah, I have a lot of intuitions and feelings that tell me something is not wrong here. Something is not right here. Something is terribly wrong. So in the last 9 minutes or so, as we are concluding this episode, let's talk about the subjective theories and the different schools of thought. A lot of people are saying it was suicide. He committed suicide.
Could you tell them why, Pete?
So there are different reasons why different people are saying that. Of course, the police's public declaration was that he just fell and hit his head and that he caused a concussion and that the concussion suddenly made him get disoriented and crazy and that he may or may not have accidentally entered into the storm drain. He might have been sucked in with a rush of water, or he might have climbed in intentionally. The police, they don't know, and they're not declaring if it was intentional or unintentional, but they're saying that he died of non-foul play. That's what police are saying. So that's one school of thought. And Angela in the comments has a good point. Why after hitting his head would he hide his clothes or make his clothes disappear? And other people in comments are saying maybe it was the guy who found his backpack. Maybe there's a lot of different maybes that are happening. This, in a way, Danny, this reminds me of my little brother Timothy's case, who I still don't have conclusive answers to. And one day we will talk more about his case. But there's just a lot of questions that are unanswered, and there's a lot of people that are saying different things. But as far as the taking his own life, some people are saying, according to his friends and according to people in his school, some people are saying that he was blue, that he was struggling with a little bit of depression. Some people are saying he was struggling with his sexuality. And some people are also saying that he was struggling with the devil and trying to find ways to keep Satan away. These are all interesting. Did you hear some of these schools of thought, Danny?
Yeah, and you told me something about Jordan Peterson too, right?
Yes, that's correct. Jordan Peterson is a world famous psychologist, mental health expert, and basically a celebrity speaker. Jordan Peterson is all about healing the mind, healing the emotions, living a better life.
I actually follow him. He's very good. I like him.
Absolutely. Jordan Peterson has a lot of fantastic and amazing schools of thought, and he's really a prolific mind. Now, among Noah's books that were found in his backpack was a Jordan Peterson book. So we know for sure that Noah did follow and like Jordan Peterson. We also know that Noah had tried to reach out to a Twitter account that he thought belonged to Jordan Peterson. He was making direct messages to that Twitter account and receiving a conversation. Police investigated and confirmed it was not, in fact, the real Jordan Peterson. He was too busy to be messaging people on Twitter accounts. But
Right.
We do know for sure that Noah was seeking some sort of answers and that he was at least interested in Jordan Peterson. That's why a lot of people are saying that they think he took his own life. And to elaborate a little more on the Jordan Peterson thing, the night or the day that Noah went missing and disappeared, Jordan Peterson released a podcast episode, and that episode talked about baptism and a return to water as a source of life. So some people are speculating and saying that Noah listened to that episode and he said, you know what? I need to cleanse myself with water. I need to purify myself with water. So they think that's why he went out at 3:30 in the morning and rode his bike in the rain and then came back, by the way, with no headphones and no flip-flops. First of all, those are the first two missing items that were never recovered. His headphones and his flip-flops went missing earlier that night. And then later he went out and his backpack disappeared, his clothes disappeared, and he went into a storm drain to take his own life because he was listening to the Jordan Peterson podcast. That's one school of thought. He took his own life. Weird. And I don't really know about that. I definitely don't tend to agree with that one, but that's just what some people are saying.
I don't agree with that at all. I just don't see a kid taking his life like that. I mean, that does not seem, this is what I always say during investigations, Pete. And I used to tell my detectives this. If it doesn't seem right, if it don't make sense, it don't make sense. This don't make sense. A kid's going to kill himself by telling his mom he's going to go meet his friends. 5 minutes later, takes his clothes off and rides down the road with no clothes on. I'm going to tell you what my gut tells me. We got 5 minutes left. I'm going to tell you. I think somebody was after this kid. I think he met the person at 3 o'clock in the morning. They took his headphones. They took his shoes. And I think somebody was stalking this kid. I think this kid was in some kind of trouble.
It's really frightening to think about, Danny, for all of us who have family and loved ones, and just thinking about our own lives. If this had happened to one of us or one of our loved ones, what would we do? How would we react? I can't send enough condolences and enough love and support out to the mother and the family. And if you're listening one day, Noah's mom, please come to the Minor Details one day and talk with us if you'd like to, or anyone who knew Noah. We'd like to hear more as we further investigate these cases. But as we have just a few more minutes left, I want to give a couple of my own thoughts. Yes, Danny.
Okay, go ahead.
I do agree with you that there's something very suspicious. We do have a comment right now on YouTube saying that if the clothes went into the drain, would they possibly disintegrate? Why were the clothes never found? Why were the flip-flops never found? Why were the headphones never found? Well, we do know for sure that he was naked before he got into that storm drain. Now, is it possible that his t-shirt, his underwear, and his shorts went into another storm drain elsewhere and got swept away? Maybe. That, I'm the type of person that I'm open-minded, Danny. I say anything could be possible. But when I look at the facts of the case and I read the testimonies and I read the investigative reports, I lean into my intuition and to my gut feeling. And my gut feeling tells me something more was going on. Maybe Noah was a little depressed, but Noah was also a generally healthy 14-year-old. Now, let's remind everyone out there, first of all, he struggled with his sexuality potentially, so he could have been a target for that. He was mixed race. He could have been a target for racially, and he was Catholic, which he also could have been targeted for. There's any number of reasons why any predator or any killer could have sought him as a target and done something to him or harassed him or taken his stuff. And then later on, who knows, fentanyl or drugs were mentioned earlier in the podcast. Yes, he could have been drugged. So my biggest feeling as we're coming to a close pretty soon is that something suspicious happened here and someone knows more than they are telling. And we need to get to the bottom of it. So please share this podcast out so we can find more answers.
Yeah, Pete, and I just want to tell you that I heard the same thing you did. Like on the Reddit sites, they're saying it was because he was mixed race.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people think that's why he was killed, because he was mixed race. A lot of people in Ireland know, and it's different than it is here in the United States, think he was murdered because he was Catholic.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It was murdered because of his religion, which there is still religion wars over there. It's different than here in the United States, where we just fight about everything here, right?
That's true, Danny. I've been to other countries. I've been to China, Dominican Republic, Mexico. I've been to Japan. I've been to Belize. And the world is different everywhere you go in the world. Just because you live somewhere and you see things in your neighborhood, don't think it's like that everywhere. Anything could have happened to Noah. And as we're investigating this case, I hope that our podcast episode today helps to illuminate this case a little bit. I hope it helps bring attention to Noah and his family. And I hope that we're able to get some more answers and clarification and hopefully the justice that he deserves.
Pete, I agree totally. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We got 2 minutes left. I just want to go over a couple things, guys. Please like the Minor Details Facebook group, because we're going to put all our missing people, the highlight of our 3 missing people each week. We're going to put their pictures up. We're going to put all the video clips over there of the podcast. And that's where you can get in touch with us if you want to hear a case. And Pete, I just want to throw this by you before we get off here. This case was very crazy, but I got another crazy case for next week.
Okay.
Did you ever hear of, and I can't remember her first name. I think it's Elisa Lamb case. Have you ever heard of that?
Vaguely.
She's missing in LA at that Cecil Hotel.
Oh, yes, I did. Because a lot of comments were talking about how that case is familiar to this one. Absolutely.
I agree.
Wow. Let's talk about that
Because
next.
her case, if you guys seen that case, she's acting strange in the elevator and is found in the water tank on top of the roof, and nobody knows how she got there. So, Pete, let's do that case next week. I think our audience would love that case because it brings in a little bit of paranormal into one of these cases.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will continue to fight for justice. We will continue to look for these missing people. This is important work, so please like, share, subscribe. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, contact Danny or myself so we can help grow and help find more of these missing people and uncover the answers that need to be solved.
Exactly. And I want to thank everybody. We're going to see you next week. And remember, this case will be loaded. I mean, this would be downloaded today to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. So please tell everybody to watch that you know. Thank you all. We'll see you next week. Pete, I'll see you. All
right. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
right.
Do the cash walk, do the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your